Okay, this is the Hickok 605A tube tester. It's a pretty cool tube tester. It has the sockets to test many of the older tubes and even 811s and such. The chart that's in here is the later model chart in here. So it covers the newer tubes, and I think it was in 1957. At the end of 1957, when they updated the chart next time, they deleted some of the very older tubes. But I was able to locate that chart and print it, and it's up in the lid in here along with the owner's manual and a schematic. But anyway, so these are pretty cool tube testers. If you're not familiar with it, I'm gonna dial up 12AX7, which is what I have in the system now. All right, there we go. 12.6 filament voltage, heater voltage. Okay, and then it says EV76080. Okay, EV76080. There you go. There's your settings. Make sure that's into tube test mode. That thing has it's got the analyzer function. The 600 was basically the same tube tester, but didn't have this analyzer knob, and you've got a couple of ports here where you can plug probes into. Anyway, so once you plug the tube in, turn the switch on. That's a fuse lamp. Anyway, you line there. You can see the little line test, the arrow on the screen there, and let's see. This is your line adjust. So depending on your line voltage, you'll rotate that back and forth to bring that back. These things use a 50 amp, 0 to 50 amp, 50 microamp meter movement inside. And this one's had to be changed in the past. A lot of these older testers, you'll find that if they have that movement, and very few things did, but this particular model and another earlier one, they had 540 something or 530, 536 maybe. Anyway, had so what happens is you can wave your hand by that thing and it'll rise up, and you really can't correct for that. What I found, it'll set idle for a while. The static will discharge. I found often I can lay my hand on the meter with my thumb open where I can see the pointer, and it'll drop back to 0. It discharges that voltage. Another little trick is if it's a static charge on that coil in there, you can take when you press the line test meter, this changes the meter polarity from plus to minus. You can actually switch it minus and deflect the meter negative. It don't hurt anything. It's only deflecting it what would have been about half scale. Deflect it negatively a few times and it'll knock off that charge. That's the one quirk I've noticed on these units. And there was there was a couple of multimeters that used to use that same thing. Anyway, great meter. All right, so you can read when you go through the setup. It has what your mutual conductance should typically be about 1200. So on this one, you've got in the manual will describe that to you. You'll see these three is a little dot here. Let me refocus. A little dot there at 15,000, a little dot there at 6,000, a little dot there at 3,000, and that's selecting which range for mutual conductance there, or micro mode. So if you wanted to read micro modes, let's see, this thing says it is should have about 1250. All right, so I would choose my range for the 3000 micro mode scale, and then I would press my test button because it shows here test P4. That's on one half of the triode number 1 in the 12AX7. So I press P4, boom. And I'd read micro modes directly off the screen there. So it would say, what is that, 15, 14, 13, about 1250. So that tube is doing about what it should. You don't pay any attention to the green and the red, good or replace. If you're just going to use the good bad method, you go back to where the chart where it says English. English mode would just be, you would set the dial to 58, and it would say good or bad. It's kind of a real dumbed down method, there you go. There you have it. Good or bad. But if you're going to actually read, and this is helpful when you're balancing tubes, trying to match tubes, so you can actually see the transconductance of the tube itself. All right, there you go. Neat tester, super duper tester. I think that's all I can show you on this thing. But anyway, that's the one crazy thing about these meters. But some people, one other thing. These meters, it's a large meter. You'll very seldom find a meter that is set for that has a large pointer, long pointer, that's 100% counterbalanced inside. So some people operate these on about 45 degrees with a prop, and you'll notice when you raise the meter, the zero moves. I use these things laying down, almost laying down. Sometimes I'll tilt, but that's really one of the better ways to handle this thing. Put a razor loader back slightly, and that tilts the face to you just ever so slightly. But anyway, there you go. Have the this one's got the original covering. I went through and let me get this thing on the hinges here. These little hinge pins, this whole assembly pulls out. I'm trying to hold the camera and do that all at one time. There we go. And it slides together. Boom, boom, boom. And you could do that. Somebody put a notch in the lid here in past years, so you could close the lid with the power cord still connected. I installed a 3-conductor cord and grounded the chassis for safety. It's got all the original hardware on it. But it's the original cloth covering, and it, over years, these things, the covering would try to loosen to come up. I've resealed the covering everywhere, reattached it, with cloth adhesive, and then put about 3 coats of matte clear lacquer on it, which is what it was originally sprayed with. So it's a very durable finish, and it's original. It's not been recovered or made to look like it came from 2021 or something. There you go. Cool tube tester. If you ever have a chance to run across these things, they're like gold.